Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my team selection video for Gameweek 19. But as always, in these team selection videos, before we take a look at my plans for Gameweek 19, let's take a look at what happened in Gameweek 18 and how I scored there. And I got 55 points, which was a pretty good game week for me. Ended up with a green arrow from about 170k up until 122k in the world, which I'm pretty happy about. 43 points only behind the top 10k now, which is pretty close, getting closer and closer. I was 51 points behind, or 49 points behind, I think, maybe, last game week. So yeah, closing in on that top 10k position that I really want to be in by the end of the season at least. 1,071 points in total, 55 of them this week, and 17 of them from Dominic Solanke, who was my big hero this week with a hat-trick. I brought him in for Darwin Núñez, and that was a huge point swing for me. If you watched the team selection video from last week, I was in between two decisions. I would either do the Darwin to Solanke move and have the team that you have in front of you right now that scored 55 points, or I would have done Trippier in for Kabore and I would have benched Gabriel Magalhaes for Trippier. So that is a huge point swing because Trippier only got 2 points, Gabriel ended up with 10 points, so Gabriel outscored Trippier. So that would have been a bad benching decision. Would have lost 8 points on that, and then I wouldn't have gained the 7 or 16 points that I gained from doing Darwin to Solanke as well. So 24 points won from doing one transfer over the other, which is a pretty crazy turnaround. So yeah, that tells you something about how you sometimes have to be a bit lucky in FPL. No one could really foresee Gabriel scoring a goal against Liverpool and getting 10 points. Really huge. Hat-trick from Solanke as well against a 10-man Fulham team. Not Fulham, Nottingham Forest team. Couldn't really foresee that either. So yeah, you sometimes get lucky. I have to remember that each game week where I feel like I have been unlucky, that sometimes you are pretty lucky as well with your decisions. But in the end, it was the right decision to sell Darwin and buy Solanke. Darwin, I'm just tired of him. Even when he plays, he doesn't really do that well. So even if he scores now against Burnley, I do have the 17 points from Solanke to lean back on. I'm much happier with Solanke for next game week anyway, because I think Solanke against Fulham at home is a really good fixture, and Darwin, I just don't really trust him anymore in FPL. So yeah, really happy about that. Pretty lucky that Newcastle conceded as well, and Trippier lost, only got 2 points. Gabriel with 10 points as well, fantastic. And that was pretty much the biggest chunk of my points this week. The 10 points from Gabriel and the 17 points from Solanke, 27 points from those two guys by themselves. The only other two players that performed for me were Salah and Son, which is not that surprising considering they are pretty expensive. And it's also really a nice parting gift as well for them, because I'm going to sell them pretty soon, around game week 20 or 21, depending on my other transfers and yeah, stuff that I'm going to discuss in the transfer plan section. But yeah, Salah and Son, they're both leaving for African Cup of Nations and Asian Cup respectively pretty soon. But until then, I'm going to reap the rewards most likely, and yeah, I'm going to be happy about that. So glad I got 7 points from both of those guys as well. Apart from that, Dubravka and goal, 3 points. Newcastle conceded, which is kind of good for me because Trippier didn't get the points at least. So yeah, I'm not too happy or too unhappy about Dubravka only getting 3 points. Obviously, it would have been nice if he had saved a penalty or something like that, but that would have been even more lucky. So I can't really count for that. Tsimikas sadly had to be injured. He got his shoulder out of socket and he's out for a while now, and basically just deleting his whole potential as an FPL pick, because Robertson is going to be back by the time Tsimikas is back. So yeah, Tsimikas is pretty much dead weight at this point. It's pretty sad that I don't get to play him against Burnley away next week. I was kind of looking forward to that. I thought that was a good game week for him, but yeah, he is definitely a transfer out target for next week, as we'll discuss pretty soon. Pedro Porro, 2 points. Can't really expect holds from him every week. He conceded pretty late against Everton, but it was pretty deserved as well, I think. I don't think Spurs deserved to keep a clean sheet in that game, so 2 points from Porro. Not too bad either. Then Gabriel with the 10 points, like I mentioned. 10 points from scoring a goal. Beautiful goal from Gabriel. He even got 2 bonus points as well on top of that to bring him to 10 points. Sadly, couldn't keep the clean sheet, but it was against Liverpool and Salah, who scored for me at least. So at least when he conceded, it was a player that I have and not someone like Darwin, for example. So yeah, Salah scored against Arsenal. Really beautiful goal. Just tells you something about Salah's proficiency as a player. FPL pick. He is the Egyptian king for a reason. Heung-min Son also with a goal. Typical Son, really. He just scores goals pretty much every game week. So yeah, pretty happy to have him as well for the last few game weeks before he leaves at least. Then we have Bukayo Saka, who was really disappointing. He got a yellow card for really stupid stuff. Probably should have. He was pretty lucky not to get more yellow cards in that game, to be honest. He could have been suspended as well. The push on Chimikas basically injured Chimikas for a long while, even though that's mostly down to just being unlucky, I guess, for Chimikas, rather than Saka being unnecessarily violent. But yeah, Saka didn't really have the best game in any regard. So a lot of people are unhappy about Saka, but I don't know. I feel like he's just an easy hold for me, at least until we need the money. But for now, I don't really feel like I need the money because Salah and Son are leaving pretty soon. They are pretty expensive. Haaland is still not fit to play, so don't really need the money for him either just now, but that might change quickly as well. So yeah, I don't really feel the need to sell Saka, but I can understand people getting frustrated with him, especially after that game against Liverpool where he looked pretty bad. But it was Liverpool at Anfield for what it's worth, so shouldn't really look too much into that and be too sad about that. Then we have one of my biggest disappointments so far this season in terms of transfers, and that is Hwang Hee-chan, who once again blanked. Had a couple good chances against Chelsea to go through on goal, but then he just stumbled and fell over, sadly. So yeah, even though Wolves beat Chelsea 2-1, Hwang didn't score, didn't get any points apart from the performance or the playing points, playing 60 minutes plus. So yeah, pretty disappointed about him, especially seeing as Kudus, who is one of the other players that I was really contemplating buying when I brought in Hwang, has been just absolutely amazing lately. So yeah, Hwang, not the best transfer, but he still has one more week to redeem himself, I guess, against Brentford away. Then we have Palmer, who also had a pretty disappointing game week and also a pretty disappointing yellow card, which brings him up to 5 yellow cards, which means that he is suspended for next game week, which for some people were like kind of a blessing in disguise because you don't really have a benching headache anymore. But for me, I kind of wish I had him. I don't think I have the same strong team that I can really bench Palmer and be happy about it. So I wish I had Palmer playing rather than being suspended, but it is what it is. He didn't really have the best game either. Chelsea, again, looked pretty bad. Then we have Ollie Watkins, another disappointment. Only 2 points as the captain at home to Sheffield United. Really expected more from Watkins, but it was one of those games where they just couldn't get the opening goal. They usually score quite early, Aston Villa, in their home games, and that pretty much opens up the field for them. Or the pitch, I should say. But Watkins couldn't really score. He got an assist that was chalked off because of VAR. Pretty bad decision in my opinion, because they had just started a new phase of play and everything, and the foul wasn't even... I mean, it was a foul on the goalkeeper, but at the same time, it was so far back, and basically Sheffield United got possession of the ball again, so I think that should have stood. And yeah, Aston Villa probably should have had a penalty as well, but that doesn't really affect Watkins because he's not the penalty taker. But yeah, 4 points in total for Watkins as my captain. Not the best, but he was also pretty much the consensus captain amongst everyone. So yeah, pretty happy that at least no one else really gained that many points. Apart from those guys who were brave enough to captain Solanke, if you did that decision or made that decision, then hats off to you, because that was a huge performance from Solanke. I'm just happy to have him in my team, to be honest, because a lot of people didn't bring him in this game week and didn't have him already in their squad. So 17 points, a massive hat-trick. Obviously it was against 10 men, but at the same time, all his goals really just like headers in the box and stuff. Like, it was really nice headers in general. And Solanke has just become a really good goal scorer now as well, on top of being just a really good all-round player. So he stepped up massively, and he's looking so much better under Andoni Iraola's system. So he's kind of similar to Watkins in a way. They have gotten a new Spanish manager who is doing some new stuff, and it's really benefiting Solanke just as it has Watkins in Aston Villa after Emery took over Aston Villa. So yeah, pretty happy about those two strikers in general. I think they are pretty much two of the best strikers to have going forward in FPL. So yeah, pretty happy to have them and have brought them in for the last 2 game weeks as well, even though Watkins blanked this week as my captain. Then on my bench, Turner with 2 points. He didn't keep a clean sheet in his game. Kabore as well. He was subbed off at the half against Newcastle. He could have had a clean sheet as well, but he would have stayed on my bench. So in the end, doesn't really matter that much. 1 point for Kabore. Archer scored a goal, 8 points from him, and I might need him this next game week, as we'll see pretty soon. And then Udogie, final bench player, who was suspended obviously and is now back. I was kind of hoping he would be ready for this game and suspended for Gameweek 19 before the Gameweek 18 deadline, at least. I was thinking that, but seeing Gabriel getting the 10 points in his place, I'm pretty happy about the Udogie suspension now, after the fact at least. So yeah, that was my Gameweek 18 score. Now pretty close to going into the top 100k. Pretty happy about that. I have my wildcard coming up in Gameweek 20 that I'm going to use, but for Gameweek 19, I have 1 more week of doing a punt before I can do the wildcard in Gameweek 20. So let's take a look at my plans for Gameweek 19. So yeah, Gameweek 19, 8.1 million in the bank still from selling Haaland, and I don't really need the money either. I don't really need to like prepare to have the money in place for Haaland, because I do have the wildcard in Gameweek 20, so I can get Haaland if I want him. If he is back fit for Gameweek 20, I can bring him in pretty easily and even still keep Salah probably for that game against Newcastle before I sell him. So yeah, I'm in a pretty good position when it comes to the wildcard, and in terms of planning for Haaland, don't really have to think about that too much. So I can basically spend the money on whatever I want in this game right now. I can pick any player that I want, and the most likely player that I want is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is someone that I've talked about for a while now, and now he's gaining steam as like one of the most popular picks in FPL currently. A lot of people are looking to bring him in and keep him for a while. I might not keep him on the wildcard, but I'm most likely going to bring him in this game week. But there are some other options as well that I'm going to discuss as well. But Chimika's out seems like the natural selection, really. He is not fully fit to play. He's going to go down in price. He already went down in price, but that didn't really affect me because of the price changing structure, really. So I didn't really lose money from that. But yeah, Chimikas to Trent seems like a pretty standard move. I wish that I already had, or Chimikas was fit to play, and I could have sold Kabore, for example, for Trent and have two better playing defenders than what I have currently. But yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold is most likely the transfer that I am going to do. But yeah, I'm just going to go through the team as well one by one first before I talk about the other transfers or potential transfers. In goal, I have Dubravka for Newcastle. Nottingham Forest at home seems like a pretty easy game for me, but Nottingham Forest scored twice, even with 10 men most of the game against Bournemouth, so maybe they are better offensively now under Nuno Espirito Santo. So maybe that game isn't as easy as it looked on paper a couple weeks ago. In defense, we have both Udogie and Pedro Porro for Spurs against Brighton away. Typically, that's not an easy fixture to keep a clean sheet because Brighton have been pretty good offensively normally this season, but I think Brighton have also shown some weaknesses lately and haven't looked as threatening going forward. So pretty happy about both Udogie and Pedro Porro, to be honest, for this game week, and they can both get attacking returns as well, especially against Brighton, who are pretty weak defensively and concede pretty much every game week. So pretty happy about having both those guys. Gabriel against West Ham at home, following his scoring or his goal against Liverpool. I have a lot of faith in Gabriel still. I've talked about Gabriel being a great pick for a long time now in FPL, and I'm happy to see him score the goal and repay me for having faith in him, I guess, last week. So playing against West Ham at home, I think that's a decent-ish fixture, but I think West Ham are going to score, hopefully. As a West Ham fan, I'm hoping for that. But yeah, I'm still playing Gabriel because he could either score or he could get a clean sheet as well, because Arsenal are just the best defense in the league currently. Salah is my captain, most likely this game week. He is getting some competition from Solanke now after the hat-trick, but I still feel like the Burnley away fixture is the best fixture to target for any captaincy decision this season, and Salah is basically my favorite captain choice in FPL as well, even though he has been sort of disappointing lately as my captain. But I think he's a fantastic player to have for Burnley away, and he is pretty much likely going to be my captain as well. Heung-min Son against Brighton away, like I mentioned, they're not the best defensively, so I'm pretty happy about Son as well. Definitely not looking to sell him this week, but potentially next week when I need money, potentially. I might look into doing that for Game 20 on the wild card. Saka against West Ham at home, again, pretty decent fixture. It's perhaps a better fixture than what Gabriel has against West Ham, because West Ham concede a lot of goals and they score a lot of goals, so that probably favors Saka a bit, and Saka has been historically pretty good against West Ham as well, I think. So yeah, I'm going to keep him for that game. Hwang Hee-chan, he gets one final chance before I sell him on the wildcard, and that is against Brentford away, so hopefully he can get some points there. It's not the worst fixture. Brentford are not in the best moment currently, so I do think Hwang can finally potentially repay me, but yeah, still pretty sad about bringing him in rather than some other obvious choices. For example, Gordon, who would have a fantastic fixture this week against Nottingham Forest at home, would have been a much better pick, but at the time I didn't think I would have the money that I needed for future transfers, so that's partly why I didn't bring in Gordon at that point of time. So, but yeah, either way, that's lessons learned for the future. Watkins against Man United away, I still think that's a great fixture. Aston Villa aren't the best away compared to how they are at home, but they're still one of the best teams in the league, so they're facing one of the worst teams in the league currently, feels like, Man United. So I have no issues starting Watkins in that game. I think it's still a pretty good game, even though it is at Old Trafford, which is usually pretty daunting, but currently I think it's a pretty good match in general. Solanke against Fulham at home, I think that's a fantastic fixture. Fulham just lost 2-0 against Burnley. They seem to be there for the taking. They had like a little blip where they won 5-0 2 games in a row, and then they got Jimenez suspended, and since then they've been pretty lackluster in general. So I think Jimenez is out for this game as well, potentially. Yeah, I think this is the final suspended game for Jimenez before he comes back, so hopefully that will be some good news for Bournemouth in general, and Solanke can keep doing well and keep on with his form as he has done lately. And then my final starter is looking to be Cameron Archer currently, playing as Luton at home, which is a decent fixture. Luton are actually better than most people expect currently, but still, Luton at home should be a decent fixture. And Sheffield United, for what it's worth as well, have been pretty good lately under Chris Wilder. So yeah, I think it's a decent fixture for Archer, but I'm not completely sold, and I obviously have the money to do whatever I want. So one of the other transfers that I might do is Cameron Archer to Nkunku for Chelsea, because I think Nkunku is going to start now pretty much guaranteed. Sterling is out suspended, and Cole Palmer is out suspended. So I think Nkunku is going to start. I think he's going to be the penalty taker, playing against Crystal Palace at home. I just feel like that's a really good opportunity, but at the same time, I feel like Trent's clean sheet potential is just higher than Nkunku's scoring potential, and Trent could get some goals and assists on top of that as well. He is a pretty explosive asset for what it's worth when it comes to defenders. I said for what it's worth a couple times now, but yeah. Either way, it's Christmas, so allow me. But either way, Trent, I feel like is kind of like a special type of player that, yeah, usually I would prefer to do an attacking transfer over a defensive transfer. But seeing as Trent is pretty much an attacker in his own right and can get clean sheet points and bonus points from the clean sheet on top of that, I just feel like it's a more safe transfer. I could also do Chimicals to Trippier, but currently I just feel like Trent has a better chance of getting a clean sheet and a better chance of getting bonus points and attacking potential returns than Trippier. So yeah, I don't even know why I've listed the Chimicals to Trippier option, because I think it's either Chimicals to Trent or Archer to Nkunku that I'm going to do. But yeah, I got some decent potential options there. Then on my bench, I have Turner in goal, obviously, playing against Newcastle away. He still keeps his place, it seems like. So, but either way, I'm not going to start him over Dubravka in the same fixture, because I think Newcastle will beat Nottingham Forest at home. They're so good at home at St. James's Park. Kabore against Sheffield United away. That could have been a good fixture as well, but I just feel like Archer, I just back Archer and Sheffield United to score more than I back Kabore to keep a clean sheet for Luton, especially seeing as he was subbed off at the half this past game against Newcastle, Kabore. Might be because they had the lead and they were trying to defend, because Kabore is usually the player that they have when they try to attack. So maybe Kabore will start. Maybe Kabore would be actually a good starting option this week. So I could be in between choices here as well. If I do the Archer to Nkunku move, maybe that will spur me on to start Kabore, because I don't really have any player playing against Kabore. Because I think he's going to start. I'd say it's about like 60-70% likely that he's going to start for Luton against Sheffield United. Sheffield United, even though they have been better lately, they're still not the best team in the league. By any means, they are still the worst team in the league, in my opinion. And Kabore is pretty offensively minded as well, so he could get some attacking returns. So he is just like a sneaky potential pick in defense. So I could potentially buy Nkunku and then start Kabore over one of my other players, or just keep him as the first bench player. But yeah, the other two bench options, Palmer and Chimikas, are both out. Palmer is suspended, but I'm still going to keep him. He's still amazing value. And Chimikas is injured, so yeah, he's going to stay out basically. But yeah, those are my Gameweek 19 plans. Most likely it's going to be Chimikas to Trent before I do the wildcard in Gameweek 20, but I am also sort of leaning towards Archer to Nkunku. Maybe I do a -4, but it seems a bit much to bet on Nkunku getting 4 more points than Archer. It seems like just not the best. Usually I prefer to do hits when it's either to do with blank or double game weeks, or when it comes to captaincy. That's usually the only times that I try to free hit, or not free hit, when I try to do a hit for -4. Just for like an upgrade from Archer to Nkunku, it feels a bit steep to do -4 for that, but I don't know. I really like Nkunku, and I think he is a really good option this week, so anyone that has that spare transfer to go, I'd probably go for it. But I currently need Trent in my team, I feel like, for this game week, because he's going to be massively highly owned, and he might go up in price as well several times, and be an important player to have into the future as well, with so much money in the bank for most teams now. So yeah, those are my thoughts for the transfers for Gameweek 19. But before we end this video, we're going to also talk about my free hit potential. If you are free hitting this week, I'm going to present to you a free hit draft. I'm also going to talk about how my free hit draft from last week did. And that's actually what we're going to talk about next. So yeah, let's go into that. So yeah, my free hit team for Gameweek 18 actually ended up outscoring my own team with 2 points, 57 points rather than 55 points. I had the 17 points from Solanke, which helped quite a lot. I had Kudus, it's 9 points. I really wish I had Kudus in my own team rather than Hwang. Still, I just gotta mention that as well. Apart from that, didn't really score that many points in general, but I did get some extra points here and there, I guess, to make it 57 compared to 55. And that's a pretty good score this week. 716k in the world for the game week, for Gameweek 18. So pretty good game week. The only thing that was bad was my favorite differentials, because I really like Wilson, I thought he was going to get a lot of points for Newcastle playing against Luton at home, but they didn't manage to score that game, and he was also subbed off pretty early for Isak, I think. So not the best there. Bailey, I'd say I was pretty unlucky because he really should have had a goal for Aston Villa. I think, the goal that was chalked off could have stood, and if that had stood as well, that would have opened up the game even more for Aston Villa. So I think that could have helped them quite a lot. But yeah, he didn't get the goal, and they conceded as well, which also affected Konsa in my defense. So that wasn't the best in general either. So yeah, going against Luton with Aston Villa players and going against Sheffield United with Newcastle players didn't really pay off. But apart from that, it still was a pretty good game week. So yeah, I can't really fault the team selection either way. Pretty happy about the Kudus pick especially. He probably should have been my favorite differential over Bailey, because I even mentioned last week in my video that Bailey could have been Palmer, but at the same time, Bailey actually outscored Palmer. But yeah, 57 points in total. Dubravka with 3 points, Konsa 2, Pedro Porro with 2, Trippier with 2, Salah with 7, Son with 7, Bailey with 2, Kudus with 9, Watkins with 4 as my captain, Solanke with 17, and Wilson with 2. On my bench I had Bentley, who didn't even play, with 0 points. Didn't really need him though, because Dubravka was starting. Bruno Fernandes as like a nice differential bench guy in case I needed him. He only got 1 point. Man United looking pretty terrible offensively, so I would not probably pick a Man United player for free hits into the future, because they still look really bad. They've only scored 18 goals this season after 18 game weeks, which is pretty bad. My differential defenders as well, Anthony Robinson and Benoit Badashile didn't really score that many points either. 1 point from those guys as well. Conceding against Burnley and against Wolves, which I thought was going to be the easy fixtures for them, but pretty unpredictable game week when it comes to scores, as we'll see on the FPL Scope podcast when I speak to Kevin. But yeah, 57 points, pretty happy about the free draft for Game Week 18, but let's take a look at my free draft for Game Week 19, just in case you're using your free hit this week and you need some tips and tricks for this week, and also just players you want to target if you really want like a 1 week punt, which is kind of apt for me, because I am looking for a 1 week punt myself for which player I want to bring in for one game week only before I walk in Game Week 20. So I think it will be pretty nice for you guys as well, who just want that one week punt before you walk in Game Week 20. So yeah, this is my Game Week 19 free hit drafts. Again, Dubravka and goal against Nottingham Forest. I still expect him to keep a clean sheet. I also have Trippier against Nottingham Forest at home in defense as well. But like I said, maybe they have unlocked something offensively under Nuno Espirito Santo, so maybe it's a bit risky. But I quite like both the Newcastle players, especially playing at home at St. James's Park. They should be a lot better than away against Luton. That was kind of the fault last week that I had them playing away, because they're not that good away. Pedro Porro, though, away to Brighton. I don't think that's the worst fixture. I think it's a pretty good fixture, in fact, so I have him also in the team. He's just so highly owned amongst at least like the engaged FPL managers who make transfers still. So yeah, don't really want to go against Pedro Porro, because I think he's still a great option now, as long as he's on set pieces and stuff. He's a pretty good option. Trent, obviously, probably my favorite pick out of the bunch this game week. Probably the reason that I'm going to bring him in as a transfer. So yeah, Trent is pretty much an easy pick. Salah, even more easy pick as the captain against Burnley away. Makes all the sense in the world. Son, I've mentioned as well against Brighton. I think he's a really good player to have. Gordon against Nottingham Forest at home. I think this might be the game week where Gordon finally explodes, for those of you that brought him in as a replacement for Mbeumo back a couple game weeks ago. I think this might be the game week. He's full fit now. He has been rested, obviously, because he's been injured a couple games, but he was back playing last game. And now they play at home, where usually Gordon scores a lot of points. So I think Gordon is a fantastic pick, and that's why I have the vice captaincy on him as well. Picking the final midfielder, though, was kind of difficult. I was kind of in between two players just for a cut price. For not that much money, because I didn't really have much money to spare either. The team value for this team is 100.7. If you don't have enough to buy it, I just figured that I would do a pretty cheap team, so you can be able to fit them all in. But yeah, Olise against Chelsea away, I think that's a decent fixture. Chelsea have been pretty weak, and Olise was also linked to Chelsea, so maybe has some sort of agenda to play well against Chelsea. He was also potentially the penalty taker for Palace. He took the last penalty that they got, even with Eze on the pitch. So yeah, decent fixture there for Olise against a pretty lackluster Chelsea team currently. But yeah, it was between him and Tavernier, who's my first bench player, playing against Fulham at home. I still think that's a good fixture as well, but Tavernier didn't really score any points last game week when they got 3 goals against Nottingham Forest. So yeah, maybe he's not the best option, but he's also on set pieces, which is the same. The case is the same for Olise, who's also on set pieces for Crystal Palace. But yeah, I just think Olise is a slightly better player than Tavernier, so that's why I've started Olise. But Tavernier does have the home game, so maybe, I don't know, it's pretty 50-50 decision, but I like both of them. But I also like 3 strikers more than my 5th attacker or 5th midfielder, so that's why I've gone with the 3-4-3 formation for this. And in the front line, I have Watkins against Man United away. Like I mentioned, I think it's a great fixture. I think Watkins is still a great player. Shouldn't be really too down on him. He's played some really tough opponents lately, so maybe even though his expected numbers and stuff haven't been the best lately, I still think Watkins is a great pick. So Man United away should be a good fixture for him. Solanke against Fulham at home. I mentioned him a couple of times. Don't really have to talk more about him. And then Nkunku, who is my favorite forward punt this game week. I guess I could have him as my favorite differential, but I kind of need to give some shine to Solanke after that great hat-trick last game week. So yeah, Solanke and Nkunku I think are pretty much guaranteed players to have this game week. I feel like they are going to have massive point potential, so I really like them as differential picks. To fill out my bench, I have Turner for cut price option, Baldock as well for cut price option, and then Alfie Doughty as well for Luton, who I think is a great option. Sheffield United don't really score too many goals. They only have 13 goals so far this season. So I think Doughty could be a really nice differential if you need like a cheap defender or something. Especially if you're not on a wildcard and you just need like a cheap defender to get the money for Haaland or whatever you want to do for your team. I think Doughty is a decent option because he might get a double game week pretty soon, and also just in the immediate future for this free hit draft for this game week 19 fixture only. Sheffield United away is a pretty good fixture for a player who's on all set pieces, gets a lot of bonus points, has gotten some set piece assists as well, and just looks like a really good player in general. So yeah, he fills out the bench. He probably should be second bench or potentially even first bench on this team because I think he has a decent fixture. But at the same time, I'm hoping for Archer to score against Doughty, so maybe that affects my thinking with this free hit draft. But yeah, that's pretty much the free hit draft for Game Week 19. My ideal players that I would want to have for this game week at least. So if you don't own these players, then look into buying them this week because I think they have some really good fixtures at least. I have 7 out of the 15 players listed here, which I'm pretty happy about. A couple good players there: Watkins, Salah, Son, Solanke, Pedroporo, and Dubravka are the players that I have. And Turner, obviously, on the bench, and probably Trent eventually as well. So it's probably going to be 8 out of 15 when I do my transfer. But yeah, decent team, I think, for Game Week 19. Let's see how it does for next week. I've become a bit better now with the free hit draft, so hopefully I can turn it on and be a bit better when it comes to selecting players for one game week only, because that has been a struggle for me so far this season. But at least I haven't had to use my free hit so far this season. So yeah, pretty happy to keep my free hit for now at least. And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I wish you a Merry Christmas for anyone celebrating. I've had a nice Christmas myself. We're in Norway, or I'm in Norway at least, so we celebrated Christmas on the 24th, which is yesterday at the time of this recording, but I know a lot of you guys are celebrating today. So yeah, I hope you have a nice time with your family and yeah, get all the presents that you want and get to eat nice food and just enjoy yourself before even more fun fixtures coming up in Fantasy Premier League. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.